Today we're experiencing a bit of a heat wave. It's all the way up to 22 degrees Fahrenheit out here. It's supposed to get down to only, I think, 15 tonight. I'm gonna go sleep in a treetop with no sleeping bag, no tent, and no matches. There's this pine tree here that came down a couple months ago in a windstorm. There's another one probably 20 yards away. So I think this is where we're going to stay tonight. There should be plenty of stuff here to build a shelter without having to cut down anything that's alive. So let's get started. Alright, now initially I thought that this here would be a good spot. It's actually going to be better. I can clear a bunch of this stuff out so I can get it out, but then I got a nice frame already built and I just got to start stacking a bunch of stuff on there. This is the only saw I have. I left the good one at the cabin. That branch I just cut has some really good fat wood on the end of it. Look at that. You see all that resin built up in there? It's like as smooth as glass. 20 doesn't seem that warm out, but when the sun's shining and there's no wind, you get warm pretty quick. Alright, so let me show you what I'm thinking here. We got this log right here and this back here. I'm going to make this the bed. I'm going to have to cut all this out so I can build a fire right here. And I've got all this support up here just to lay stuff on. Hopefully hold that heat in tonight. Alright, as you can see, it's really starting to take shape now. This is going to be the bed right here. I just need to get this cleared out. I'm going to put some bigger stuff down here and like make it smaller as it goes up because it's a little uneven, and hopefully that'll even us out. I'm going to leave this branch on here to hopefully keep everything from sliding down. So we got to get this cut out of here and then start cutting our bed pieces. Oh yeah. Oh. That's lovely. Alright, now I'm going to get a bunch of this stuff and just absolutely cover this and hopefully make it a little more comfortable. I feel like Harry from Harry and the Hendersons.
Not Harry's World out there.
Not only do these pine needles add comfort, but they also add insulation from the cold air. That's almost comfortable. This is exciting. I need a little bit more down here for my head. Now that the bed's all done, let's start closing this thing in a little bit. Alright, now that we got this all filled in back here, it's pretty comfy. But what I think I am going to do is, I've got this post here and this out here, so maybe I'm going to try to line that, make a little bit of a roof to get any heat from the fire to like roll back onto me. Yeah, I like that. Get some more sticks and put them on there. Now that we got the shelter all built, I'm gonna go ahead and put my gear inside, and then I gotta go find some wood. It's gonna be dark here in probably 3 hours or so. There's a nice standing dead little pine tree right here we're going to cut down. As you can see, this tree is still very solid, which is really good for burning, but it's really bad for cutting down. But I think this bottom is full of resin, so it should burn really good. That figures, doesn't it? It's a nice chunk of resin we can use for starting a fire later. I'm gonna put it in my pocket. Well, we got this tree cut up into 4 big sections. It took forever, but it's we got her done. It's a good thing I went back to the house and got the chainsaw. The rest of those logs are pretty easy to move, but this one is quite heavy. I've tried flipping it, I've tried pulling it with the axe, and this is what I've come up with. Made a loop out of some 550 cord. Just run it around the log. And then you get a lever, and you can pull it. There. It took me about an hour to move that, probably 50 yards. Well, now that I got all this big stuff gathered, I'm going to gather some kindling wood and stuff to get a fire going, because it's getting dark pretty quick. Alright, so this is what I got gathered to get the fire going. Got a bunch of the pine needles, and these are all chunks from a pine tree that I cut down. You can see it's full of resin. Now that I've got a decent stockpile of wood, I'm gonna wait till dark to get all this going. It's gonna be about 12 hours of darkness, so I'm gonna wait till very last minute to get this fire going. Now that the sun's gone, it is starting to get a little bit chilly. My water is actually starting to freeze. So if I had to guess, I'd say it's probably already down into the teens. I don't think it's supposed to get real cold tonight, just like 15. My biggest worry is that my fire is too far away from the bed, but also that my bed is extremely flammable, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, let's see if we can get this fire going. I just remembered I had that nice little resin ball in my pocket from earlier. I'm going to take this resin and I'm going to make a dust out of it. Maybe we can just break it open. I'm going to take this and actually set it right back against this log. Alright, we got a pretty good fire going. It's nice and warm right here right now. The only thing that makes me nervous is the pine needles I use to start this are also my shelter too. So one rogue spark or flame and we're calling it a night. Originally I was going to do like the 2-log method where you put 2 logs on top of each other. You put like a little spacer in there and the fire burns in between the logs. But honestly, this is giving off plenty of heat right now and it's just the middle of this log burning. So I'm just going to let it burn like it is and we'll adjust as we need to. Now I did bring a couple drinks with me and it sounds like they're still liquid, so I'm going to go ahead and drink them. Now I also brought a little skillet, and we have peppers and onions and some butter, and we have some Italian sausages. The only problem with these sausages is they're still a little hard. It might work. You might be able to work with this. Now usually I let those peppers and onions cook for a while before I put the sausage in there, but they're still a little bit frozen, so I figured I'd throw them in now. The fire's putting off a lot of heat. I'm probably 4 feet away from it. I'd say the bed's probably 5 feet away, but I can still feel the cold getting to me a little bit. I've never tried this before, so we'll see how it goes. I have a feeling I'm going to wake up cold in the middle of the night. If I do, it's no big deal because I'm not too far from the house. I'll just pack all my stuff and go home. I won't even pack my stuff. I'll just go home. Yeah, those look done. Now I've got a bag of ketchup and mustard here. Mmm. Now, if you could go with just ketchup or just mustard, which one would you pick? I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I think I'd go just ketchup. But look at those onions. I think the peppers and onions got just a little bit burnt. They're okay. Wow, hot. Oh. Well, now that I'm done cooking, I think I'm going to try actually move this fire closer. I'm going to cut an escape route over there, because if I move it closer over here, I won't be able to get out where I've been coming in and out. So I'm going to cut and burn all this stuff, and then we'll move it closer. All right, I think that's better. That's better. All right, we got the fire going pretty good for right now. I put my poncho up in the back to kind of reflect some heat and maybe keep the wind out a little bit. Got my sleeping pad out, and now we're gonna lay out all of our bedding stuff. I don't even remember what I brought. A warm hat. Got my wool blanket and my poncho liner. Now, I hate to say it, but that fire is actually too hot right now. It is making me a little nervous. But I'm in bed, so we'll see how it goes. I'm sure I can get probably a good 2 or 3 hours out of it before I wake up cold. It's 12:45 and I just had to get up and fix this fire. I was plenty warm enough still, but since the fire wasn't really going, like, it was just rolling smoke right on top of me and it woke me up, so I had to get up and get the fire going to push the smoke up. Well, we'll see in a couple more hours. It's 7 o'clock in the morning and I just woke up. I slept really well last night. My biggest issue was how unlevel my bed is and how slippery my poncho liner is. I had a hard time kind of staying where I wanted to be, and I kept sliding down this way and my feet would poke out a little bit. But even with all that going on, I stayed perfectly warm. I got up 2 or 3 times last night, I think, to get this fire going. I went to bed around 11. I remember the first time I got up was 12:40. I put a couple more logs on the fire, if I remember right, and they burnt real good for probably 3 hours. I wasn't awake again until about 3:30, 3:45. And then after that, I had one more log I could put on. I put that on there, and I had trouble getting it going after that, and there was a breeze that rolled in, So I kept waking up probably every hour and a half or so. Just had to poke it around a little bit and it'd get going again, but I stayed way warmer than I thought I was going to. I think I got one cold toe, and other than that, I was pretty good all night. I think it would have been a lot better night if I would have had like 2 more big pieces of wood I could have thrown on there. If I could have had another burn like I had from 12:30 to 3, it would have been perfect. Well, I went through all my supplies and it doesn't look like I brought anything for breakfast or any coffee. I'm a terrible planner, so I guess we'll get all packed up and we'll head out of here.